Hi there, my name is Kevin Smale, and I am Senior Study Programme Manager for the Cornwall College Group. And we've got campuses all over Cornwall and in Devon as well, at Bicton College. And I'm responsible for the running, planning and delivery of a number of Access to HE diplomas. My main areas of interest are psychology and sociology. Those are the subjects I teach mainly. Been teaching Access to HE for about 20 years now, so I must love it, mustn't I? It's a fantastic qualification, and I want to sort of really introduce you to it today and tell you all about it. I've also taught degree and special needs as well, so quite a varied background in teaching. So I guess if you're watching this, you're either somebody who's thinking about doing an Access to HE diploma, or it may be that you work for a university, maybe you're new to an admissions team and you want to learn a bit more about access to higher education, why it's such a fantastic qualification, a life-changing qualification. So first of all, a bit of information about the background to Access to HE, if you don't know anything about it. It was started in about the 1970s. The main focus was on education, getting people into teaching and so on, but it soon developed into a very broad and very deep qualification, bringing in lots of different disciplines, covering a whole wide range of subjects. So the Access to HE diploma is a full level 3 diploma. It's got 60 credits to it of value. That's not to be confused with UCAS points. You can go on to Google and do a converter to change the credits into UCAS points if that's the way you prefer to look at things. And obviously the main point of it is to get people into university who perhaps have not had the opportunity at a younger age to go in via A-levels and BTEC national diplomas and so on. But it's more than that. I mean, you don't have to go to university if you want to do an Access to HE. It's a great qualification in its own right, and it's a great thorough grounding in a subject or subjects that you may be interested in. So what does it look like? Well, as I say, it's a 20 credit unit, 20 credit diploma. 15 of those credits are in what's referred to as academic preparation study units. So these are, if you like, foundation units to help you get into things like study skills, maybe an introduction to psychology, sociology, and so on. They're capped at a pass. Doesn't mean to say that they're less valuable than the graded units, but that's how they are. They are graded as pass only. So we then have 45 credits, which are academic study content units. And these are graded pass, merit, distinction. And that's actually quite important if you're progressing on to university, because universities will have entry requirements, and they tend to be something like complete an Access diploma with so many credits at merit or above. Some degree courses are just straight passes. Others require different requirements, different grades for you to get in. Generally speaking, it's a 1-year diploma, 35, 36 weeks or so, part-time study, but sometimes you can actually study an Access diploma over 2 years. It depends on the different colleges and their approach to it. You will have different names to different diplomas. So for example, you might take a science diploma, you might take a humanities diploma, you might take a health and social care diploma. That's the overarching title, if you like, for the qualification. But within those, you will study a broad range of subjects. So to give you an example of what I mean by that, if you're studying, for example, health and social care or nursing, then you're likely to predominantly study biology, psychology, and sociology. And the composition of the diplomas very much reflects the requirements of universities. So a diploma, for example, in health and social care can get you onto a number of different degrees. So what can an Access diploma do for you? Well, first of all, obviously, as the title might suggest, it gives you access to university to study a degree. But also, and on top of that, there are lots of other things which we don't necessarily give enough credit to, and that is, it gives you confidence. So if you don't have confidence with your communication skills, for example, or it may be that you don't have confidence in your ability, serving an Access to HE diploma will, in the space of 35 weeks, will vastly improve your confidence levels. It will give you study skills. These are the basic skills that you need, the foundations for learning, if you like. So we take you through things like Harvard referencing, recognizing the difference between good and bad sources of information, how to write academic essays, how to present yourself in terms of good presentations, seminars, and taking part in discussions and so on. A quick slurp of water. It's not gin, unfortunately. In addition to that, an Access diploma will give you a lot of subject knowledge. So you've got 45 credits of academic subject content units. Now, those will give you a really, really strong foundation in particular subjects. Now, the areas that I'm particularly interested in and teach at the moment is psychology and sociology. So if you're going to go on to do degrees in sociology, psychology, and then many, many others, then this will give you enough foundation in concepts and theories and so on, and the application of those theories, ready for you to go on to university. In addition, it will give you real help with your ability to organise yourself. Not all of us are blessed with the ability to organise. If you can see my desk around me now, you'll see that I'm one of those people who's just not naturally organised. So having deadlines, working to timetables and so on, really gives you that ability to hone those organisation skills, which are really useful to you and at university, and actually really useful in day-to-day life as well. Also, time management. I'm dreadful at time management. So this course will help you to set a time, keep to that time, arrange your calendar, be organised with your time. Also, because Access is very much a collaboration between students, we do encourage people to work together. And that's not necessarily sort of cheating off each other, things like that. We're talking about people working in collaboration in a very professional way. So the team building skills that you develop on the Access course are also really, really important. And it will help you when you're working in go out to the world of work. So if you're working, for example, in a hospital, working in social services or whatever, you will be needing to work with other people very effectively. And this course will give you that. Obviously, it's an academic course in most cases, so you will develop your writing skills and also your verbal communication skills as well. We do lots of things like presentations, lots of things like discussions, and it will help you to build that vocabulary and give you the confidence to speak out and be assertive sometimes in communications. And because increasingly at university, you are required to submit your work electronically via virtual learning environments like Moodle and so on, then we build in IT into most diplomas. So it's very much an holistic qualification that prepares you really, really well for university. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, well this is sounding all very good, but am I going to be able to do this? So maybe an idea of how you're assessed would be a good thing to share with you. So there are lots of different ways. Mostly you'll be writing academic essays. Now we don't assume you're born with the ability to write an academic essay. Nobody is. So what we do is we spend a fair bit of time working with you to develop those really quite disciplined ways of writing, which we call academic writing skills. So it's using terminology, writing in the third person, all those different things. We assume you know nothing when you come to us, and we take you through that stage, right the way through being very competent academic writers. Also, we help you to engage in academic discussions where you do a lot of research and you bring that research to a platform and you discuss it with authority, talking with, with an informed position with other people who likewise prepared like you have. Presentations. Now, if you're at home watching this video and you think, I'm going to be sick, the idea of doing a presentation, most people feel that way. Okay, so even teachers do. You know, it's a natural reaction. So what we do is we spend a fair bit of time sort of coaxing you and coaching you to develop those strategies to help you do presentations. Because at university, you will have to present your work, whether you're presenting a piece of creative writing, or whether you're presenting an essay in psychology, whatever it might be. You have to present your work, and you need to feel confident in doing that. You might be writing reports, for example. If you're going into nursing, for example, you will have to write reports as part of your job. So we need to make sure that you can do those things. And last of all, you will have to complete sort of between 2 and 4 in-class assessments. We don't call them tests because it scares people. So they're in-class assessments. So that's likely to be a timed assessment, a piece of writing perhaps, or questions you need to answer. And invariably, it's what we call an open book assessment. So you can take notes with you. It's not just a case of checking your memory, it's what you can do with the information that you have. That's really important. Okay, so hopefully that's a bit of background there on what the diploma is, what it can do for you, and how you're assessed. The next thing I want to go is into a bit more detail, really, to give you some idea as to what you'll be studying. Now, my main subjects are psychology and sociology, so a little bit of information about those subjects perhaps will be helpful to you. So psychology, broadly speaking, is the study of the mind and behaviours, and why do we do what we do? Why do we behave the way we do? Why are we individuals? Why are we all different? And then sociology is sort of basically the study of societies, how they function, and why they don't function sometimes. And you know, we've seen a lot of sociology recently, with COVID and various other things happening in society. So really important subjects and very transferable skills and knowledge into many, many different disciplines at university and beyond. So if you're studying psychology, for example, or you're studying units in psychology on another diploma, you will probably look at things like key perspectives and theories. You need to know the fundamental theories behind the subject, in this case, psychology. So why are we the way we are? What are the different theoretical perspectives on why we behave in the way we do? And that can be normal behaviours and it can be abnormal behaviours. Why do we get stressed? You know, if you're stuck in a traffic jam, why does road rage happen? What's happening to us? What's happening to our neurophysiology? You know, what's happening to our bodies as well as our minds when we're under stress? We might also look at things like child development. You know, there's different stages that a child goes through, both mentally and emotionally, as well as physically. We might look at things like decisions and problem solving. What is it? How do we make decisions? Why do we make the decisions that we do? What are the things that we consider? What are the parts of the brain that deal with those sorts of actions? We might look at abnormal psychology. We might look at things like why do people behave against society? Why do we see antisocial behaviour? What is it that makes people behave in those sorts of ways? It's a vast subject, psychology, and you can't do it justice in a few minutes, but desperately fascinating, really interesting. And it's one that if you study, you will go on and be able to deal with a lot of issues a lot better, I think, in the future when you're dealing in a people industry. That's what you're going to go into. Drink. Okay, so a bit of information to know about sociology. So a bit like psychology, you're going to have key perspectives and theories. You know, through time, people try to explain why societies are the way they are. Why does our society look the way it does today? Is it just evolved? Has it just happened? Or has it been through planning and design? Also, the sociology is very interested in things like health issues. So why is it that there aren't inequalities in health? You know, why is it that if you live in Scotland, you are less likely to live to a ripe old age than if you live in London? Why is it, for example, that if you're a woman, you're more likely to live longer than a man? And conversely, you may live longer if you're a woman, but you've lived more years in poor health than if you're a man. So these are the sorts of things that sociologists are interested in, trying to find explanations for phenomena. Sociologists are really interested in families as well. Why do we have a nuclear family? Or why don't we have a nuclear family now? Why is it we have quite disparate families where, because of divorce and breakups, same-sex marriages and so on? So, you know, the idea, the notion of family is changing over time. And those are the sorts of things you probably study when studying sociology. Social policy, another thing that's really important in sociology, is the policies that keep society together. You'll know that at the time of recording this, we're going through a pandemic, and there's a lot of social policy going on, lots of changes going on, where the government is telling us to behave in a certain way to keep ourselves safe and keep people around us safe. It's what feeds into that process. Also, you might study things like anti-discrimination and oppression. If you're working with people in the future, you need to know about anti-discrimination and anti-oppressive practice, because this is what professions are guided by, codes of practice and so on. So you need to be aware of those, and ethical issues as well. If, for example, you're working with people in a social care context, or you're working in hospitals as a nurse, you need to know about the ethical issues, because sometimes life throws grey areas at you. It's not black and white. So you need to know what the ethical position is for that. I mentioned earlier on about sociologists are interested in inequalities in society, very much interested in things like poverty and social deprivation, but also they're interested in the data, the statistics that underpin the things that are happening around us. And I mentioned COVID just now, COVID-19. Why is it that if you belong to certain ethnic minority groups, you're less likely to survive COVID than if you're white Caucasian? So that's the sort of stuff that you study when you cover sociology. Vastly underrated subject. It's incredibly interesting, I can assure you. Come on an Access course and study it, it's great. So I guess something else you really need to know is, you know, what kind of jobs can I do if I study an Access diploma? Well, you know, you use an Access diploma to get into university. The vast majority of universities accept an Access diploma. So the best thing for me to do, because the list is endless, the different Access diplomas that you study can get you into a vast number of degrees, So rather than try and list all of them, which is impossible to do, what I would suggest I do is I'll give you an example. So one of the diplomas that I teach on and manage for Cornwall College is Health and Social Care. Now, we've got two variants of this one. We've got Nursing and Health and Social Care. Now, if you complete an Access diploma in Health and Social Care, you can go on to study midwifery. You need to have certain GCSEs alongside that, but you can go on and study midwifery, adult nursing, child nursing, occupational therapy, social work, paramedic, youth work, counselling, psychotherapy, and the list goes on. So you can see that an Access diploma, this is just one diploma, and I can go on and on for hours telling you the opportunities in terms of careers that you can get from taking an Access diploma and subsequently taking a degree. It opens doors. That's what this qualification does for you. It opens doors for you, gives you options, choices. Now, there's a few things I want to share with you. I'm going to come to an end in a minute, but I just want to share a few points with you, which, talking to our current students and previous students, these are sorts of things that worried them, and I want you to stop worrying about if you're thinking about doing an Access course. The first one is, you're never too old to study an Access to HE diploma. This is an extreme example, but my most mature student over the years, over the last 20 years, was 83 years of age. That's not to say that everybody's in their 80s who do an Access diploma, but you can take an Access diploma from the 18 onwards with special conditions. So it's for everybody. It's a very mature learning environment, and It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, it's for you. Okay. Also, we're not born with the notion of our potential. We don't know what we can do. But what an Access to HE diploma can do for us is it can help us reach our potential. We can realise, you know, if you thought maybe, you know what, I've been doing this job for a while, I think I can do something else. A lot of our healthcare assistants say to me, you know, I'm doing the work of a nurse. I think I can do the work of a nurse. I just need to get a degree to do that work. I'm doing exactly the same thing now. So doing an Access course, it will help you to reach and find out what your potential is, but nobody knows. Nobody knows. Also, careers guidance is free and it's freely available to you. So no matter where you are in the UK, get in contact with your local college and just ask for a consultation, ask for to chat to a careers advisor, or maybe speak directly to the team lead or the program manager for Access to HE at your local college, and they will spend time with you to talk you through what it can do for you, what options they have available for you. Another thing is, if you didn't do very well at school, it doesn't mean to say you're not going to do very well on an Access course. The idea of an Access course is to release that potential. Sometimes people don't do well at school. You know, I didn't do particularly well at school. I was far more interested in other things. I wasn't terribly interested in learning back then. So, you know, if you didn't do so well at school, it doesn't mean to say you're not going to do well on an Access course. Access teachers tend to be very, very motivated and very, very motivating. And you know, we can get the very, very best out of you. Access to HE can seriously change your life for the better. It's hard work, it's intense, and there will be times when you wish you hadn't signed up. But at the end of it, over 20 years experience of teaching Access to HE, I've never had anybody say they wish they hadn't done it. And many people say it's the best thing they've ever done. It's hard work. It's 35, 36 weeks of hard work if you do the one-year program. 20 units of work in 35 weeks. It's intense. But just because it's hard work doesn't mean it's not fun. And learning can be fun. You don't need to commit straight away. What you can do is have a chat with your local college, see what they've got on offer, and take your time, think about it. And talk it over with your family and friends, and make sure it's the right thing for you. And last of all, if in doubt, just do it. Just make that phone call. Speak to your local college. What's the cost of a phone? And then last of all, I'm going to finish in a minute, but what I wanted to do was I just wanted to leave you with not my words, but the words of some of our current students. Okay, we're just nearing the end of the academic year at the moment, and these are the actual words I've recorded from some of our students. First of all, Access to HE has truly changed my life. It has been a gateway into a career that I never thought I could have. One of our students at Victon. Access is one of the hardest but most rewarding experiences of my life. Dutchy College student. I thought university was for other people, not me. My confidence has gone through the roof and my kids think I'm cool. That's one of our students at Camborne. And last of all, school was not a happy time for me. I just didn't get it. I thought I could do better, but never seemed to get there. Access has taught me that I can be the person I wanted to be. And that's not my words. Those are the words of Access students now who've been offered places at university, and they've worked very hard to get those places, and they've proven to themselves that they can do it. So please, if you're sitting at home watching this video and you're and you're not quite sure about it, do it. Just make that phone call, have a look at what's available on websites and so on, or you can get in contact with Carver Direct as the awarding body, and ask for advice and guidance. Find out where your local college is. It could be the best phone call you've ever made. Okay, best of luck for the future. Bye for now.
Hello everybody, my name is Helen Sims and I'm the Programme Manager at the College of West Anglia, which is a regional college in Kings Lynn in Norfolk. And I'm the programme manager for business, hospitality and travel and tourism. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about access to business. Have a look at my colleague Kevin's video, because he's given you a lot of information about access diplomas in general, and he's talked about the humanities and psychology and sociology aspects of his courses. So he's given a lot of information, and it's quite inspirational actually, some of the things he's saying, and there's some quotes from some of his current students. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a flavour of what's on offer. Okay, so my college at Kings Lynn, we've also got a satellite college at Wisbech and another one in Cambridge. And we offer a variety of access to HE diplomas. We do science and nursing, medicine, computing and humanities. As I said, I'm going to talk to you about business, and I'll tell you a little bit about the topics that you would study and how it operates at my college. All colleges have their own way of working, but we've got three options. We've got a daytime provision, which is 2 days a week. We've got an evening provision, which is one evening from 5 till 7. And we're just actually validating a new online provision, which will be 2 shorter evenings for people perhaps who, well, we've all got used to a different way of working, but online platforms are very successful. And we've discovered that actually that's a really good way some people learn. There would be a little bit of coming into college so that you can meet other students and the staff, but primarily it'll be online. So have a look at websites and your local colleges to see what they do and what they offer. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about access to business. It's a 60 credit qualification. 15 credits are what we call ungraded, so they're pass fail. They're really important, so we mustn't overlook them. One of them is a study skills unit, which will teach you basic things to do with academia, so researching, how to reference your work, how to summarize a massive article. The internet is sometimes it's information overload and you just don't know which is the most relevant to use. So we teach you those sort of skills. Our particular business qualification as well, our second ungraded is IT skills, which is worth 6 credits. So the 2 together make up the 15. And that you just demonstrate that you can use Word, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, and which is really important for the modern business world. You need to be able to communicate, and we teach you how to do that. Or if you've got some knowledge, we will develop that and teach you, help you develop those skills further. If you're really, really good, you can teach us, because lifelong learning, learning's a two-way thing. Okay, so that's the 15 credits. The other 45 credits that make up the full diploma are various sizes, and by default, the larger the credits, the harder they are a little bit. So our 2 90 credit units, we've got business, which is an understanding of the business world. So it's all that basic stuff about how do businesses work, what's the difference between somebody who's self-employed and a partnership, why do people become limited companies, and you look at the business environment at the moment, and obviously there's a lot going on. Our other 9 credit unit is Introduction to Marketing, and you'll be looking at different forms of marketing, the old-fashioned leaflets through your door, up to obviously social media and current internet marketing, which is a massive growth at the moment. We've then got some slightly smaller units, which are 6 credit units, and those are management and leadership, where you will look at different managers, look at different leadership, what makes a good manager, the different styles. So somebody who's, tells you, who's very, autocratic and just says, do it, to those that are a bit more laid back and want to know your views and things. I'm sure we've all can think of managers that we've worked for that fall into both those camps. Another 6 credit unit is accounts. That is basic accounts. You will be learning about bookkeeping, profit and loss, cash flow, all the important aspects of accounts for a business, a modern business. And we often have students actually that get that enjoy that module so much that they actually go on to be qualified accountants. Another 6 credit unit is employment law. Now that's my specialism. I teach employment law on the Access programme and also at degree level. And often people really enjoy this because they can relate a lot of what we're looking at to their workplace. We look at contracts of employment, we look at discrimination and equality, and basically what you can and can't do, or what you're supposed to do, and what employers often still don't do. And then the final 6 credit unit is managing people. Now it differs from leadership and management because this is more about human resources. So again, a lot of our students really enjoy this unit and then go on to become human resource managers, because it is all about that, what is good for the employee, what are the rights and responsibilities of an employee, excuse me, and an employer. And then our final smallest unit, which is a 3 credit unit, is ethics in the business world. Working ethically is in everybody's minds at the moment. So that is all about reducing waste, looking at how you can save the environment. And some businesses are really good at that and some are not so good. And there's a little bit of psychology in there because it also involves how people treat each other and treat the environment and their workplace. Okay. So all those units together will add up to 45, and that's your full diploma. Now, assessments for these, because we don't just give you the award, obviously you have to work for it. We do a mixture of written assignments, which we will set you and then give you a deadline. You get one opportunity to have a rework on that assignment, so you don't have to get it all the first time. Some units have presentations. So during your IT skills sessions, you'll be developing presentation skills, and also we'll be working on your confidence, because a lot of people are horrified at the thought of doing a presentation in front of strangers. It's something that we all have to do at some point in our life, and we try and give you lots of practice so you feel more comfortable with it. And some students have fed back to us that actually that's one of the most valuable things that they found from the Access to Business Diploma. We have 2 in-class assessments. The accounts, it's not an exam. You will be given a task. It's usually building a profit and loss account and reflecting on it and saying whether the business is doing well or whether they should close down. And the IT skills, you build up a portfolio of evidence just to show that you can create a Word document, that you can create a PowerPoint slide. Now, as I said, all colleges are different and they will have different formats. That's just the makeup of ours. Some business, Access to Business qualifications have got slightly different units. I'm an external moderator for another local college, and they don't have ethics in their business qualification, but they have something different. So they looked at what their local area prefers and where their students have gone on to in university. And with the agreement of CARVA, you can change that as they go along. So we're constantly reviewing our units. At the moment, they're the best fit, but that's what we do and what colleges can do. So where could you go with this qualification? Well, we have a lot of students that obviously want to go into university, and at my particular college we have our own university centre. So once they've done the year's access with us, they could stay with us and do a BSc in business management, and many do. They like the college that we're at, they like the staff, and because some of the staff teach on both courses, we get to know each other really well, and it's a really nice atmosphere. And because we do it 2 days a week, students can then still work, or, you know, if they've got childcare commitments, then it works really well. But have a look at your local college. What I would suggest is if you are thinking about going to university, have a look at the entry requirements for the business courses. Some vary. The credits are graded on pass, merit and distinction, and universities have their own entry criteria. If you did your access to business with us and you got an average of a merit, because we knew you and because we could work with you, I would accept you onto my business degree. Not all universities would do that. They often insist on a mixture of merit and distinctions. So I would suggest you have a look at your chosen university to see what their entry criteria is. And then you know what you've got to work towards, and it'll give you that motivation. So you could do a business management degree, you could do a marketing degree, because you get a taster of different aspects of business. You are also really employable. And our local area likes our business qualifications because of that. You'll know a little bit about marketing, you'll know a little bit about accounts, you'll know a bit about ethics. And equally, that's the same for university. You don't just have to stick with a business qualification. You could specialise, if you wanted to, in one of the areas that we cover. And in the past, we have had some students that have gone on to university that have enjoyed the employment law module so much, they've actually ended up reading law. And as I've already said, we've had some students that have gone on to be accountants. So if you decide not to go to university and you want to go into work, you can often, we get students that go into become, excuse me, junior managers or in supervisory roles. And you don't have to make a decision in day one. That could be a developing thing. You may have a clear outline of where you want to go, but it doesn't matter at the beginning. You'll develop confidence, you'll get a better understanding of the business world, and then you can decide when we're talking about it. Okay, so that's everything from me. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me, and I wish you well with your future studying and your future career. And I can thoroughly recommend Carver as an access provider. Very professional, very well organised, and we have lots of success for our students. So all the best and take care.
Hello to Glencora and Adrian. Thank you for joining me today. It's really good to see you both, to get some answers from you for some of the questions that people might be thinking about. So first of all, this question is going to go to Glencora first. What motivated you to do the Access to HE diploma?
So I actually failed my A-levels, and I was planning to go to university. So on the day I got my results, I researched what I could do to go to university. And I found out about an access course because I've never actually heard of it before. And yeah, that was my motivation, basically. I wanted to go to university, and
this was a
oh God.
Thank you. And Adrian, how about yourself?
Well, my story's just slightly different, of course, because I'm much older. It's a little bit more convoluted. But I left school at 15, which is I'm from a working class background, and that's what you did. University when I was 15 was not really for the likes of us. There's no way you would have been able to. Or limited ways that you would have been able to follow that path, let's say. So I worked from age 15. I worked for 30 years with the same company and was made redundant, and I wanted that second career. Now, I'd learned in my job, I was a bank manager. Ultimately, I was a bank manager. I'd learned in that job ways of coaching and teaching and encouraging people, and I wanted to use that in an education environment. I wanted to become a teacher. So digging around becoming a teacher, I found I needed a degree and A-levels. And I had none of those. I left, as I say, at 15 with a few GCSE, well, 2 or 3 GCSEs. So I wondered if I could still get into university with what I'd learned at work and the experience that I had. But it was suggested I needed a level 3 qualification. I didn't even know what that meant because it had been so long since I've been out of education. I found it meant A-levels. However, I still went to the university open days, and I went to UEA open day, and there was a session for mature students to find out if uni would have been for me anyway. And it was almost as a throwaway comment that somebody said he'd got into university via Access. And I just wrote down the word Access and thought nothing more about it. Thought it was just a code word for something, or it was, it's just a passing phrase. Went home and Googled it and found out what it actually meant. So then I went to my local college, City College, and said, can I have a look around? Can you talk to me about Access courses? And they told me and said, this is what it is. So that's my motivation. I needed a degree, but working it back, I needed the A-levels, and then working it back, I found out about Access courses, but it was almost by accident.
Wow, yeah. It's funny how these things come up, because that's the thing, we have so many people who, as you said, people mention Access or Access to HE, and so many people don't know about it, which is a real shame because it's such an incredible diploma.
I think it's amazing. And
yeah.
that first guy, I mean, he said, it changes people's lives, and it has. It absolutely has. The content and what it teaches you. And as I say, I've worked for 30 years, and it's still teaching me stuff now. I think it's amazing.
That's so good to hear. So before we go into a few other questions, I just wondered if actually I could get you both to just introduce what you're currently studying and what you studied when you were doing the Access to HE diploma. So if we go to Glencora first.
Yep, so my Access to HE diploma was social science. However, I am not studying anything related to that. I am now doing Japanese at university because the entry requirements for my degree were very flexible, actually, and they said that they accept pretty much any Access course, but they prefer social science. So that's how I decided to go into social science. And I do like psychology anyway. I did psychology at A-level. Even though I failed, I enjoyed learning it. So I really enjoyed studying my social science diploma. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And such a journey from social science to Japanese, was it? That's incredible. Wow. And Adrian, the same question.
Yeah, I'm studying BA in film and television. And the reason I'm doing that is because my Access course was in humanities, which was sociology, criminology, and cultural studies, which are things obviously like films, poetry, art, literature, those sort of things. Again, my intention was to get into the field of education. So the path that I'd originally chosen was to do a BA straight in education. And it was actually the college careers person that said to me, actually, no, you can do your degree in anything. Why don't you do something that you like? So I picked film and television because, again, I just need a degree. It doesn't have to be in education. I can still do a PGCE afterwards. So I actually picked something that I really found I enjoyed, learned and enjoyed from Access. I absolutely loved doing the cultural studies part and the sociology links in so nicely with that because a lot of the theories overlap. So I changed course or course path completely, but it still won't change my ultimate goal.
So what would you say you enjoyed the most about your Access to HE diploma? And we'll go to Glencora first again.
I enjoyed the learning most. I just liked learning in general, and as I said before, I picked something that I love to learn, so I think that definitely helped get through my diploma, because it is difficult, and I think mine was a fast track as well, so it was only 6 months, so it was a lot of work, but learning it was definitely really enjoyable.
That's great. Adrian?
I absolutely loved the learning. As I say, it actually changed the course that I chose in the end. But what I really loved was the camaraderie, not just amongst the pupils, but also amongst the learning staff as well. They are very, very engaging, and they are much closer than you'll certainly get at university. They're on hand most of the time because it's such a close and small knit team. So yeah, I've made some lifelong friends from both staff and pupils at the time, and it was a laugh. The whole thing was, because we helped and supported each other. So half the time you wouldn't have known that you were actually in a learning environment because it was so enjoyable.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a message that keeps coming up with a lot of people that I speak to about the course, is that, you know, it had this real sense of community, and everyone's, you know, driving towards that same goal. So it's fantastic to hear that you had that camaraderie going through the Access to HE diploma. Fantastic. Okay, so next question is, how did the Access to HE diploma prepare you for university level study? And we'll go over to Glencora first again.
Although I learned something completely different to what it definitely prepared me to reference essays. So in my diploma, all my assessments were just essay based. So we spent a few lessons just learning how to reference and paraphrase. And when I went to university, I didn't have that time to do that. I was given a document on how to do it, etc. But I think the practice I had in college definitely helped.
Brilliant. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, there's an expectation once you go to university that you can just do that. But it's a skill in itself. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of hard work. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah,
you're right. It is a skill in itself, and as some of the other presenters have said, one of the modules is called Study Skills. And in answer to the question, how did it help me prepare? What didn't it help me prepare with? Yeah, referencing, because that's a huge piece of work. Actually, I'm quite nerdy and I actually quite like it now, and I can do it without even sight them right for most things because of the way they ingrained it in you. But they taught you how to think critically. They taught you how to pull stuff apart. They taught you how to think critically, write critically, structure an essay, how to present, how to feedback. What didn't they give you? And they kept saying, or they didn't keep saying, but they said more than once, on more than one occasion, that the first year of university will be a breeze, and you will find yourself saying, "I know this a hell of a lot," and I absolutely did. It's as you both said, you know, they assume that you're going to know this stuff when you get there, and you don't, and they don't have time to teach you at university, so you have to find it yourself. But the Access course does it for you, as well as teaching you some of the key theories that you need.
Fantastic. Yeah, lovely. Great points. So if we head over to the next question, so so what are your plans at the moment doing your degrees, and what are the plans once you've completed your degrees? And we'll go to Glencora again.
So I plan to complete my degree, and then hopefully get a career in translation. Yeah, I'm not too certain of what I'm going to do in the future yet, but I think once I have my degree, it will be a lot easier to plan what I'm going to do. Yeah.
That's great. Adrian?
Yeah, my plans are still broadly the same. The idea is complete the degree in full, potentially a PGCE or maybe a skip year or whatever the options are. But I want to complete the degree, and I want to complete it with the best mark possible. That first-class degree will give me easier access possibly to a master's if I want to do that before I go into teaching. But equally, what it's also done is, rather than make me just think, oh, let's just do some primary school teaching just to see me through to my old age, actually some of the subjects that I've been learning, I'm thinking, well, why don't I get involved in that? So maybe some sort of further education or even secondary school. So it's widened that initial goal for me as well.
That's great, and that's the thing as well. It's, you know, how can you use the Access to HE diploma and your degree to, you know, not just, you know, so if you're doing something like nursing, then it's pretty straightforward what you're going to get into. But, you know, the choices out there are limitless, really, once you've got those qualifications and you start to apply it. So yeah, fantastic. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone considering doing an Access to HE diploma? And we'll go to Glencora again.
I think they should look at, because I believe there are part-time and full-time courses you can do at an Access. And I think if they are planning to work, for example, they need to look at their options there, because I did a full-time course, and although I had hours to revise and stuff, I don't think I'd have many work hours. So I think that is definitely something that they should look into if that is an option. And I think general advice, it would be to just try and find breaks in your study, because I knew a lot of people who got very stressed and overwhelmed. And although there is an immense amount of support out there, I think it's important to also give yourself a break as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot to take on, and at the end of the day, look after yourself first and foremost. Absolutely. Yeah, brilliant. Adrian.
What advice would I give? Be very, very open-minded when doing your research in terms of making the Access course work for you. What I mean by that is choose the modules wisely, because if you choose something that you're likely to enjoy, that's why I picked criminology. If you're likely to, if you study something that you're likely to enjoy, it will take some of that edge off the pressure of studying as well, and also choose the time frame that's right for you. Don't rush into a full-time 1 year if you've got all sorts of other commitments, because it will eat into that free time that you have and that downtime and all those other commitments that you might need to service as well. So be open-minded, choose wisely, get the Access course to work for you rather than you working for it.
Brilliant advice. Thank you both. So finally, just to finish things off, I wondered if you could answer this. So if you had just one word that you could use to summarize your experience, and these questions are always so difficult, but if you just could use one word to summarize your whole Access to HE diploma experience, what would it be? And Glencora, I'm putting you on the spot.
Thank you. I think this is a bit cringy, but I'd say amazing. Like, I wouldn't have been able to go to university without it, and even during the learning, it was just amazing for me. The teachers were just so supportive, and my classmates, we were just like a little family. It was really an amazing experience. Yeah, it was amazing. Brilliant.
Lovely. Adrian.
I'm going to cheat because I'm going to use a hyphenated word, two hyphenated words. Life-changing. It absolutely is life-changing. I ended it at in my mid-40s, and you think after a long career, you know, what else are you going to teach me? What else am I going to learn? But from the very first day, even up to now, I'm halfway through my, I'm almost at the end of my second year at university. It still opened paths of thought, exploration, and research. I'm still learning something every day. So it will absolutely change your life, the way your outlook on life, how you respond to people, how you are with people, and the paths that you follow.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for both joining me. It's been a pleasure to speak with you both and hear about your experiences, and hopefully help other people to consider doing the Access to HE diploma.
Yeah, fingers crossed. They'll be mad not to. If they've got an option, do it.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.